Hi, everybody. How are you? This is day 934 and 934 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. But he didn't just vanish, something happened, and we believe that he was trying to expose many for child sex trafficking. And he didn't, well, he was trying to expose, this is what we believe, that he was trying to expose many for child sex trafficking, and that either the command was in on it or they're covering it up. That's, and it looks like it's either the FBI are in on it or they're trying to cover it up. And a lot of, so this case is really big. It's really huge. And I don't think that Richard understood the magnitude of what he was trying to expose and who he was trying to expose. I feel like that he thought that there were some agencies, there was some justice to cover him. But, and that is why he went over and above and outside. So he was very, very clear. The bell's tolling. Um, he definitely understood that within the military, he was not going to get help. He understood that. He is so, and this is before he got smoked. So somehow, he understood that within the military, it's either they were in on it or he knew that they would cover up, that they would not try to stop the child sex trafficking, the porn, all the porn and the production of porn, very big money. And it just got worse during the COVID lockdown. Um, the production of it, the coercive grooming into it, into the sex cults, all kinds. It's not what you would think. It's doggy stuff and rearing puppies and y'all. It's a sex cult and it's coercive, and they want to outwardly be able to act on their sex cult. Okay, they want to be free, even in uniform, to act out their sex cult. And the problem with that is that those uniforms belong to the people. Okay, um, those ranks belong to the people. Those installations belong to the people, to this nation. They represent this nation. The facilities belong to the people. It's all on our dime. And if they want to outwardly act on their sex cults while they're in uniform, I think that there needs to be a discussion then in Congress, right? Let's have it all out in Congress, what they want to do. Who do they want to rear? Who are these puppies that they want to rear? Um, what kind of porn do they want to make? How do they want to produce it? Where do they want to produce it? Where do they want to sell it? How much money they want to sell it for? Where they want to broadcast it? Who to do they want to broadcast it? Let's have that discussion. And let's make sure that we also have a discussion on the death penalty. Okay? Let's, who are the murderers? Who are the rapists? Who are the kidnappers? Who's doing the child sex trafficking, the human trafficking? And are those crimes? Do they hold the penalty under God? Because we are a nation under God, deserving of the death penalty. If they are going to continue to take life, are their lives guaranteed? Um, that's uh, that's a good question. This all needs to be brought out in the open. If the 44 four-star generals love these sex cults, love to do it in uniform, love to do it on our installations, love to have it produced and a broadcast to our military service members, um, and they want to do it outwardly and uh, publicly, and show their erections publicly, um, and that would involve child sex trafficking, human trafficking, um, uh, grooming unto suicide, grooming unto, I would say, even murder. If someone doesn't like it and wants to stop it, um, there needs to be a discussion about, should this be legal, and if it's not legal, does this deserve the death penalty? Because it is, to me, my opinion, under God's law, my understanding of God's law, is that this is a national security threat. It can be used against the service members. It could be used against our military. It makes us look bad in the world. It makes us weak. Um, it produces a lot of druggies, a lot of alcoholics, because of the violence done to their body, violence done to their mental status, and and I believe, raising Richard, that he believed the same way, and that's why he was exposing, and the with the child protection services, that are apparently corrupt because they won't answer our FOIAs. They don't care about child sex trafficking. They don't care about children. They don't care about porn being, if you support porn, you support child sex trafficking. Um, they don't care about the first CONUS DES 1 missing soldier under the Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flowchart. Then they don't care about Vanessa Guillen. They don't care about um, Asia Graham being raped. It's so clear that there is a depravity here that wants to be normalized. And some of us don't want the consequences of depravity. Okay? We don't want it. We rather not participate in that. And I believe Richard was one of them. And he was saying, no, I don't want to participate in this depravity. We have reports that he was even raped. We would like to know the answer to that too. And how do these, the corruption and the corruption and the corruption with the FBI? I think that the Hunter Biden's laptop, what's going on with that? Um, the island, what is it? What's that guy's name? Einstein? No, not Einstein. Whatever his name is. In the depravity island, with his little temple there. I think that's coming out. I think we see that even tonight on Super Bowl, they're trying to groom us into believing in these sex cults, and including aliens. Are aliens part of these sex cults? The aliens are part of these balloons now. I mean, the Pentagon's coming out with, oh well, we're not going to dismiss that. Well, I can tell you right now, I can dismiss it, and I do not even have high security, whatever classification, whatever that is. I can tell you right now, I would put my life on the line. I am putting my life on the line to say they're all full of it. They're all clowns. They're all clowns, and they're using the good nature of the people, the innocence of the people, to con them and hoodwink them into believing that these balloons are somehow spy devices, and and might come from aliens, others, because they don't like that these classified documents were illegally in places they shouldn't be, that Hunter Biden's laptop has things on it that shouldn't be on it, that they're selling our treasures, our information, our intelligence, our whatever. You think that China needs to send a balloon over the United States to collect data? All they have to do is go knock knock on certain doors and say, "Hey, I give you so much money. I'll give you Fan Fan or Fin Fin or whatever for a year. A year, you can do whatever you want with this sex culture, and just get past us some of the technology that you have, sell us weapons cheap or whatever. I don't know. Night vision goggles. We'll just leave the night vision goggles in Afghanistan so you can have our night vision technology, since America, that was one of the things that we had that other countries didn't have. But no more. No more. It was all left there in Afghanistan. They have the night vision technology now. If you believe that China needs to send a balloon over the United States to, oh my gosh, they might have a rocket missile launcher uh, installation there or whatever. Y'all, oh my gosh, they don't need that. They know they have it all. They have it all. They got it all. They've got the keys to Apple's cloud. They've got it all. Um, I mean, that came out, um, but we're addicted to our phones, which um, I wouldn't say addicted. They're necessary. They're necessary. This is our technology that we've paid for, um, and we should be able to take part in it. And yet, they're weaponizing it against us. They're weaponizing everything against us. Our agencies that we pay for, they're weaponizing against us. Our military, they've hijacked it, and they're using it against us. And they're calling people that are good natured and just want to do right in this world and do not want to participate in depravity, do not want to participate in dishonesty, and they call us domestic terrorists. And I check all those boxes because I'm for free speech. I got my concealed carry. I went to January 6th, 2021. And I took a bullhorn. And I remember as we were walking back to the bus, I was like, Pence is a traitor. Pence is a traitor. Because I felt like he might be a nice guy, but he didn't do the right thing. He didn't do the right thing. We all know that. And we know that there wasn't security there. And there should have been. There wasn't even porta potties there, and there should have been. There wasn't even food vendors there, just but a few, and they were all owned by this one person. That's how it works, you see. In a corrupt system, and it was very, very cold, very cold. They should have had heaters out there. They should have, and I'm just saying it would have all been look, the speakers didn't even work. When we waited a long, long time for Trump to come out, and when he did, and I didn't wait around because I had backpacks full of flyers and prayer candles for my son, Richard. That's why we went, even though Lieutenant General Donna Martin contacted us the day before and said, don't go. And we're like, so what do you know? If you are a general officer, flag officer, which I've been talking about that they're bloated. Yesterday, I was talking about that they were bloated. The general officers, which are 4-star generals, right? We have 44 4-star generals, even though we only have generals and admirals. Okay, so 44 4-star billets. Um, Even though we only have 1.3, maybe 1.3 million service members. Okay, we had 7 general officers during World War II with over 13 million service members. Talk about bloated. Flag officers are, uh, like General Stewart, 1-star general, Brigadier General Stewart, um, Major General Clint Coward, he's a 2-star. He has to answer for a lot in this case. And 3 stars, like Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, who has to absolutely answer for his crimes against humanity. Well, they've all committed crimes against humanity. Um, Absolute treason. They've committed treason. And that's why I'm asking, should we uh, do what is right and bring back the death penalty? Because you're talking about not only our service members being hurt by their treason and their betrayal, we're talking about the families, we're talking about our economy, the destruction of the economy, which then, since we're in so many other countries, is a betrayal against every other country that we have an agreement to protect and defend, which are a lot of them, and everyone that we trade with. We are the world currency, and so that is a betrayal of our currency because when the economy goes down, it's just the crimes. Do you understand how many crimes have been committed against children just because they had to stay at home? They had to stay at home and parents lost jobs and the stress of the economy. And all of this was done by the Department of Defense funding, okay? The funding came from the Department of Defense. They contracted out like the likes of CVS and Walgreens. You understand what I'm saying? It is huge treason. It is huge crimes against humanity. And do we have to tolerate that? Do we have to tolerate children being beaten, children being raped, business people losing all of their hard work in their small businesses, being called non-essential when they've put their heart and soul into their small businesses? What about our soldiers? Don't they have a religious exemption? Their religious exemption was denied. So many of them. So many, because they didn't want aborted baby fetuses stuck in their veins. Because as soon as they found out what was in these Cobra strikes, they said, no, thank you. No, thank you. Especially when I have zero risk of dying. Zero risk of dying. Yet, with absolute disastrous leadership, they will put our service members into Afghanistan, into Iraq, into many different hostile zones. Now they want to send them to Ukraine, a hostile zone. They want to beat the drums to go to war with Russia. And we have so many of our service members. We should ask for FOIA. How many of our service members are on antidepressants? How many of them are on PTSD medication? How many of them are fit to go to war with Russia? Okay? And we're not buying it. I don't think that people are buying it, and that's why they're bringing in this alien balloon stuff. They're trying everything because we've got their number now. That they are hoodwinking us and taking advantage of our good nature, taking advantage of our faith, our Holy Catholic Apostolic faith in the Trinity, under God, in the Ten Commandments, in every word that proceedeth from the mouth of God as law word. Our mercy, our kindness, our love, because without love we are nothing. If we have everything but we don't have love, we're nothing. They're taking advantage of that faith. And they've taken advantage of it and taken advantage of it. And they're destroying our families. They're destroying our children. They're bringing in the fentanyl. They're bringing in the fentanyl. And they say they care about our health. They're bringing in the porn. Letting our volunteer sons and daughters get raped. Telling them, shut up. And then they tell us they care about our health. They're grooming to PTSD, grooming to suicide, and they put them on all these medications that are, once you're on it, is so hard to get off. It's so hard. And then our suicide rates go way up, and they say they care about our health. And then when whistleblowers blow the whistle, they don't give them any protection, and guess what happens? The situation like Vanessa Gann. You get bludgeoned to death so bad in your face that they can't even recognize you by your dental records. You get chopped up, burned, buried in a foxhole, lime poured over your remains. You get your family lied to that you are AWOL, right? You get lied to, lied about. Then they pour concrete over you and dirt. They're still lying. They find the case, the Pelican case, the trunk that your body was dismembered and put in. And they lie. And they don't even when that case is found, they don't call in reinforcements to find your remains so you can be buried by your family with love and decency and integrity and honor. They lie. They call off the search. They call off the search so you can stay in that foxhole poured with lime, all cut up and buried under with no one knowing but God and the animals and the perpetrators. But God called out his army, and Vanessa was found. Praise God. Praise God. And I'm praying for God to do that for us with Richard. I don't know where he's laying. I don't know where he's at. I know we've been lied to. And Team Find Richard Halliday, we want to know. And we have balloons. We have balloons. So I'm going to, I'm getting a little emotional tonight. Let me put this on. This is when we were in, well, I wasn't there. This is after we left when my dad got sick. And Team Find Richard Halliday was in El Paso. And they let off some balloons for Richard. And I want to talk more about the balloons. I think it's really important. I don't know why this is not.
Yes. We'll scream Richard.
Loud and clear. Over. Here we go.
Sounds 3. You want me to count down from 3?
Yes. We'll scream Richard.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
We'll scream Richard. Where are you, Richard?
Where are you, Richard?
2, 1.
Richard!
Wow.
Those were the balloons for Richard.
How beautiful is that? Amen.
And the media knew about it. And the CID knew about it. And the CID knew about the leaked files, and the CID knew about the sex videos that Richard turned in.
I popped one last night, so
This and didn't tell us.
so they'll be clear.
The CID knew about the Child Protective Service complaints that Richard made and didn't tell us.
We'll scream Richard.
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
The lies continue, and with Austin Hawke, whistleblower for drug use, and they say they care about the drug use. I don't believe they care at all, because they're allowing the barracks to become a marketplace for illegal drugs. Then when there's a whistleblower, they plea deal with the slaughtering murderers, the slaughtering murderers that planned this for at least 2 months to slaughter Austin Hawke in his barracks room there at Fort Stewart. And they plea dealed. 39 wounds to his head, slit his throat when they went to go lift up his body the next day, because no one called 911. I mean, there was a battle. Austin Hawke was a warrior. A warrior. He battled for his life. That room had even the blood of his perpetrator in it. The room, the closet door was off the hinge. He battled for his life, and not one of his battle buddies came to his aid. They didn't even bother to call 911 for help, or the military police for help. Not a one. Not a one went in there to see if he was still alive after the perpetrator left with bloody footprints all through the hall. That the CID said, oops, we missed that. We missed that. They plea dealed, kicking every service member right in the face, right in the gut, right in the teeth, betraying every service member. I think we need to talk about the death penalty. And just saying it, people are like, be careful, Pat. Be careful about what? Are soldiers being raped? Are soldiers being slaughtered? The FBI hiring a magnitude of people to do their dirty work? Child sex trafficking? Our rights being eaten away? Our 44 four-star generals and admirals serving foreign and domestic enemies instead of defending our Constitution? And them all protecting and getting giddy around this Biden character who's is making deals with other countries, selling us out. I mean, this is what's going on. This is what they're talking about. And look, y'all, this is the greatest example of what I'm talking about. We are almost $22 trillion in debt, and we are begging for good roads. We are begging for infrastructure. We're begging for a better economy when we are $22 trillion in debt. What did we buy for that? What did we buy for that? Paying NASA over $50 million a day. What, for balloons? For balloons? They've got most of the helium contracted. Why do they need all that helium? So let's talk about balloons. Let's talk about how that is part of Find Richard Halliday. If something is going to be corrupt, fraudulent, all the way across the board, Richard is a missing soldier, not just any missing soldier. He is the very first CONUS S1 missing soldier under the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flowchart. And they don't care. He's not any soldier. He's the soldier that father-in-law, who happens to be Palestinian, who happens to have a record, father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, Richard's command, under Major General Clem Coward, who's commanding Leilani Hart, the mother of First Lieutenant Dallas Hart, who gets leaked files from the CID Special Agent Tavita Nusa, who now we're getting reports played more of a role in Richard's case, and it's not a good role. It's not a good role. How is all of this fraud? It's like a snowball that started small, and it is huge now. And Major General Clem Coward decided to give Richard a smoking and a half. Why? Why? Don't give me the lame excuse, oh, that 20-year-old, he was caught underage drinking 0.04 BAC. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we take underage drinking seriously. They told Asia Graham to shut up, and she died because she was raped, and she died of a fentanyl-laced medication. Y'all, they don't care if Richard had a 0.04 BAC. They were smoking him. They wanted to hurt him. They were using the tools we've entrusted to them as weapons. My good friend said they waterboarded him. They waterboarded him. Yeah, I think we need to talk about the death penalty. When it gets so out of hand that Austin Hawke gets his throat slit and 39 stab wounds to the head, and not a person is coming to his rescue or calling even 911, military police, not even after the perpetrator left. They're just letting him bleed out all night in his room. When they go to pick him up, when his friend came over and said, why isn't he answering the door? When they went to go pick him up, they had to hold his head onto his shoulders because it was falling off. When things get to the point where Vanessa Guillen is being hammered to death in the armory and then stuffed in this is at Fort Hood, and they don't have, they couldn't get right on that case. And why is Enrique Roman Martinez in cold case? Huh? Why? His head rolled ashore. It was taken off by a hatchet, brutally. His hair pulled out. His eyes gouged out. Who the heck did that? And you're telling me our military can't figure that one out quick? Especially during COVID lockdown? They've got the cloud information. Is the cloud information all in the hands of China? Is that why? Are they in the pursuit of destroying our military, our volunteer sons and daughters, our economy, our people, our land, our animals, our national security, our national character, our reputation? Is that what they're in pursuit of, with them serving foreign and domestic enemies? Is that what they're doing? And then calling the likes of me, who wants answers, a domestic terrorist. Even Lindsey Graham called me a domestic terrorist because I happened to be at January 6th. January 6th, saying the Lord's Prayer for our country, passing out flyers for the distinguished honor graduate of basic training and AIT, like Austin Hawke. Austin Hawke was also the distinguished honor graduate for basic training and AIT for his cycle. So was our son Richard. I'm handing out flyers letting people know that we need to find this missing soldier. I'm doing the job that his command, that his unit should be doing. That those 44 four-star generals should demand that it would be done. That the media should demand that it should be done. That's what I'm there. And then, it was so cold. It was so cold, y'all. Leaving early. Otherwise, I'd probably be really called a domestic terrorist. But I live streamed there. I think that's another thing that helped out. I live streamed what I saw. You can find that. I've posted it everywhere. I've never been ashamed that I was at January 6, 2021. And I did say through the bullhorn, Pence is a traitor. Pence is a traitor. Pence is a traitor. I did say that. And I'm sure he's a nice guy. Some of the nicest people can be traitors. Because when this snowball starts rolling, it grooms so many people that would otherwise be a blessing to this country. And it turns, I use the example of J.R. Tolkien and his books, where evil turns the elves with torture, with constant, severe retaliation into twisted orcs. It's like my Oma warned about sending our children to school. Watch out, because they could twist your children. She was the first one. You know, when we decided to homeschool, she was without hesitation supportive. And that was many years ago. Many, many years ago. A couple decades ago. More than a couple decades ago. And without hesitation, she supported us. She said, thank God. Thank God. So let's look at these balloons, and I'll tell you what I think they are from research. Matter of fact, I'll play. Okay, so 1962 were balloons. Balloons have been very valuable for all through history. And there are some huge conspiracy stories about balloons, and I'll probably none greater than right now. But I'll show some pictures in the future. I'll gather some together about balloons, because it's easy travel. It's beautiful travel. And why does NASA have control over so much of our helium? That's my question. They must love balloons, right? And in 1962, they were shooting rockets up with balloons in them. Okay? Balloons being satellites, y'all. And we have lots of proof with the satellites. Let's show some pictures. See if I can do this. Yeah. Oh, here I am. Oh, this picture. Let's see. This picture has been kind of used against me. Here I am there at the rally, and I looked to the media and I said, "Pray for Richard. Pray for Richard." So I love that picture. Here we are. This is in Juarez. These pictures here. Asking for help there in Juarez. Here is getting to back to the balloons. Here is solar panels with technology. balloons everywhere. It's so easy to find these pictures. This is the new one, a Chinese spy balloon. Yeah, they don't need it. And do we need to be afraid? We need to be more afraid of our own agencies, our own military, our own government, our own institutions than we do of China. Sorry, because we're left defenseless. And the worst type of enemies are people that you think you can trust and they stick you in the back, right? And that is what our military has done. The Pentagon has stuck us in the back. They have left us defenseless, and they are serving foreign and domestic enemies. There's no doubt in my mind. Okay, because if they were doing their duty, defending the Constitution, we wouldn't have this fentanyl crisis. We wouldn't have the barracks as marketplaces for illegal drugs. We wouldn't have the suicide rates in the military. We would not have the active grooming porn cults producing porn and selling the porn and then broadcasting the porn. We wouldn't have the 12 soldiers getting sick in the field, drinking grog in the field, accidentally from a sea. Well, they didn't accidentally drink it from a sea-lit, but the sea-lit had antifreeze in it, and they could have died. And I don't know if they're totally recovered, because once you drink antifreeze, it can really damage you. We haven't heard an update on that one. We were there when that happened. But so there's no doubt in my mind with the way our case has been dealt with our liaison, with the CID special agent leaking, with the first sergeant's wife having leaked information, and us asking at the very first meeting, why does she have leaked information? You know, who does she know? Who is this person? We didn't even know she was the wife of the first sergeant. And then not taking seriously the source that said Richard was taken over in this blue truck with shaved handles, and it was a lowrider, special wheel, what do you call those? And taken over through the St. Teresa port of entry over into Juarez. Also, the ridiculous connection with the Mormons and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. What is that about? What is that about? Why can't they help? Right? And all of this horse racing and these trailers that go back and forth over the border saying, oh, you know, we're doing horse racing or horse training or horse breeding or whatever. And is that how they do the human trafficking, the child sex trafficking? I mean, all of these things need to be answered, and they kept information from us. And they tried to smear Richard right there, sending a senior leader to the military police guard mount, and Anthony Swafford, a military police right there at Fort Bliss, was conned. He was hoodwinked by the senior leader, thinking that Richard had this terrible character where all he was trying to do is save children from child sex trafficking and a young mother from being groomed into the sex cult culture, right? So Anthony Swafford, you know, I hope he understands what happened. He was misled to believe we were the bad guys. That's why I'm putting my life on the line for him, for service members' families. Because his leadership is twisted in a very evil way. So bad, I think that we need to reintroduce broadly the death penalty. And who am I? I can't do it, but I'm voicing my opinion. I'm voicing my opinion, and I don't know, maybe someone out there is listening. So look how high. This is a very interesting, even though this is on the internet trying to show what's going on. But it is very interesting. This is a skydiver. This is how we fly in commercial airplanes. This is a jet fighter. This right here are the balloons. NASA has already admitted that they have never left lower Earth orbit. Never. Never. That's why we have so many towers. We have so many towers everywhere to get the Wi-Fi, to get the information. And if we can't use the towers, then we use these balloons. These balloons are satellites. That's my opinion. Everything else is not proven, is a hoodwink. We've been lied to. We've been lied to, and it's very easy to make those connections when you just take your phone or a camera, a decent camera, and point it up at the moon. And here we're being told that, oh, China has built a space station on the dark side of the moon. Yeah, they're gonna point missiles down at us or something, and then you take a picture of the moon, and it's not a rock. It's not solid. It's like plasma. How do you land on plasma? How do you land on something that phases? Sorry. How do you land on something that is glowing its own light? It's glowing its own light. Absolutely, 100%. I've been fixated on taking pictures of the moon ever since I was told by a Find Richard Halliday supporter, if they lie to us about the moon, they will lie to you about your son. And I went, what? What an odd statement. What an odd statement for someone to tell me, And I went out to the garage and I opened up the garage door, and there was the moon. It was huge, right in front of me. And I took my phone, I took a picture of it, and I zoomed in, and I went, oh my gosh, they're lying to us about the moon. And if they're lying to us about the moon, and I know they were lying to us about everything about COVID, right? They're lying. Okay? They're lying. They're not getting to the bottom of why people get sick. And they don't care about people getting sick, except for they want people to get sick because it's a good business plan for some. And I absolutely think there is no chance of aliens. No. Unless they're manufactured in a lab. But that's what they want to bring. And, so it's, do you have like little doubts in your brain, with this, me going over to Juarez like 3 dozen times, and, everything's going crazy with COVID in 2020. And here I am going over there and letting people hug me and cry on me and eating tacos and going about, and I don't care. I just want to find my son. Going to soup kitchens, going into, drug rehabilitation centers, go and line up at Dr. Death's little place where he gives methadone treatments out to drug people that are trying. It was such a, and I didn't worry about it. And I'm not like Miss Health. So you just have to take a step of faith. And this is what I choose. Okay? It's like being with a native person that is taking you on a tour of the wilderness, and you come to this big lake and you need to cross it, and the lake is frozen, and they say to you, you can walk over it. The temperature has been low enough that the ice is thick and you won't fall through. And you have to have faith that what the guide is telling you knows. And so you have to take a step on that ice and cross it. And that, to me, is what's going on. I am rather go over that pond than to be afraid and listen to these lying demons that we call our government agencies. And there's good people in them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they're employees, and the employees have to take the orders from their employers, and the employers are serving foreign and domestic enemies that have weaponized our government against us. And they have no good on their mind, no good intentions for us. And so I'm not going to listen to them. So there's discerning, but I'm not going to say, ooh, there's aliens out there, so now I don't have to care about Hunter Biden's laptop, or I don't have to worry about election fraud, or I don't have to worry about child sex trafficking, or the first CONUS Dust One missing soldier right there on the border from Fort Bliss, and who was putting in Child Protective Service complaints. And there's all kinds of fraud and all kinds of mess, all concerning his case. So I think that we need to get to the truth in everything that we do. You can correct me. I put it out there. At least I put it out there. What I think is true. I put it out there, and what I feel confident in. So absolutely. Here is this 1962 space balloon satellite failure, and I have the video. I have the video for that. Let's play it. Let me turn this on. Whoops.
Searchlights pierce the pre-dawn darkness at Cape Canaveral, where a suborbital flight is scheduled to test new techniques and material for the Echo communication satellite. The 84-foot Thor rocket has as its payload a mammoth balloon which will be inflated in space. A transmitter in the nose of the rocket will relay pictures back to the Cape of the release of the balloon. And now, blast off of the Thor. At 250 miles, the rocket will release its payload. The balloon will be triggered from the capsule and begin inflating. Scientists at the Cape watch the monitor, which shows the pictures made from the nose of the booster rocket as the capsule continues the steep climb after its release. The canister will open and the balloon will expand to its full 135-foot diameter in 2 seconds. But just as quickly, it comes apart at the seams, destroying itself prematurely. Spectacular end for a space balloon.
Spectacular end for a space balloon. Then there's this other, yeah, here it is. Let's see if I can get this. This is also Balloon Pioneers, and it happens to be in 1962. I don't know. Let me see if I can put this on. This doesn't seem to have any sound, but this just shows you these aeronauts going up and being in this stargazer balloon. They're trying to get to a high altitude to see the stars, to look at what's out there. And it's very interesting. They never show us, except for the very end, some kind, any kind of image that they got. And the image that they show us is, of course, a fake image. Just wait and see it. You would think that we would be able to see what they saw because we were paying for this, and it's huge. That's what they say. Now, y'all, that was pretty fake. Oh, I probably should go to the end and show it to you and stop it. Oh, yeah. Now, anyone knows that that's not real. Sorry. Oh, man. So, they have a history, total history of not telling us the truth. And I just don't, with this COVID thing that we just came through, I mean, finally in South Korea, they've lowered the mandates. And that was really important to me because of my family being over there. And that's just terrible. So finally, we're trying to come through this, and all of a sudden, they want to scare us with aliens instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing. And they're just blocking, getting to the bottom of justice. And if they're going to block these very, very important issues, we need to get to the bottom of what's going on in the military, what's going on with the COVID, what's going on with Hunter Biden's laptop, what's going on with all the selling of our intelligence and secret documents and top secret documents to foreign enemies or foreign countries, and who pocketed that money. And we need to find out about the election fraud. We need to find out about so many issues, especially, and for me, it's about, is the FBI hiding the remains of our son, Richard Halliday? That the Department of State absolutely confirmed that the FBI were looking for Richard's remains in Juarez, Mexico. And then we have, of course, Delirious going to the FBI and saying, her source said Richard was dumped there in Juarez, Mexico, after being taken over with this truck through the Santa Teresa port of entry. We need to get to the bottom of that. We tried. We did a search. We had an after action report. They never, ever, there's a lot of things around that they should have answered. They should have helped us, and they would not. And Richard is not a cold case. We have even the name of who we believe murdered Richard. And it's, why can't they answer that? Why can't they say, oh no, this is the alibi, this is what's going on, this is but no, we're getting more and more information every day because they've kept this information and they can only keep it for so long. It's just like this whole all this other stuff coming out. They've had this information that what was it, Moderna was had already 100,000 Cobra strikes available in 2019, and walked into the production and said, hey, I need a billion more. Yeah. So, and these balloons, like they're something new. They're not something new. It's been going on a long time. And frequently, there are so many pictures of crashed satellite balloons all over. and they use them regularly. Those are our satellites, and they're I call them sataloons. Sataloons. So don't be afraid. Don't let them fool you. Um, and if we can demand truth in everything, then we will find out what happened to Richard. Right? We will, because that will also rub off on people. Once you have your freedom and truth, and you're doing the right thing, and the depravity is being shown to be depraved and hurtful and murderous. Uh, Depravity loves death. Okay? Depravity loves death. It always ends in death somehow. It's murderous. And if you believe thou shalt not kill, I think thou shalt not murder. I think thou shalt not kill is probably better, because uh, it's on God's terms. And to kill people with drugs, with grooming, with mental illness, with not getting justice, not protecting the victims, but yet protecting the perpetrators. Yeah. So I think that discussion needs to be out there, and we need to have some results, because we're at war with our own weaponized military against us. We're defenseless. And our service members are being used badly. We need to save our service members. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much. If we have any questions, let me see if Danielle, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. So please share, and I'll be back tomorrow, God willing.